today I'm going to give you a tour of our 200-year-old bank barn that's located in Central PA that we are going to start working on restoring and saving this beautiful piece of architecture. So today I'll give you a little walkthrough, show you what we're dealing with and the biggest issues that we're going to have to combat on this barn. So when we first walk in, you can see the stone foundation here, and pay attention to this top beam in the back and its sag. That's our biggest concern. This is room one of the 2-room parlor. You can see the feed troughs and where the hay was stored for the animals to eat here. But the biggest problem is this one post in the back has been rotted off. And I'll show you that, but here's the front. And then all of the tongue and groove boards along the top, because this was a parlor room, so they wanted to keep it as clean as possible, so that they had the tongue and groove coating the room for cleanliness purposes. But here's that post that's rotted off. So if you look at the bottom of this one, it is literally not touching anymore. So this is one of the main things holding up this barn, and it is not. Now, over the years, they did brace it, so you can see the post in behind there kind of holding it up, but it's really not enough at this point. So this sagging beam is coming from this post, which is very concerning, and the first issue that we're going to take care of. You can kind of see that stone foundation. I'm excited to clean that up and make it look beautiful. We're going to go over to the second bay of the barn, and this is the room 2 of the parlor room. You can see that feed trough there. These will, of course, all have to be ripped out. There's the front, and then you can really see those tongue and groove boards along the inside of this that even coat that hand feeding beam. And there's that sag, which we will address. Lots of lumber and things that will need to be cleaned up throughout this barn. We're going to save what we can and give it new life somewhere else. That back area back there, that's a human walkway. In order to take care of the animals, you could cross the whole length of the barn in the back there. And there's also access to the silo. Let me take you over to the next bay. In the most recent history, this was mostly just used as a place for the animals to get in and out of the weather. But you can see that there's a beam along the bottom of this wall. Let me get over where you can see. That's just sitting down on some stones and blocks and concrete that is in pretty bad shape from being exposed to all the elements, and as well as the bottom of these posts are not in the best condition. But there is a handmade feed trough that was added with concrete at some point, and you can see up there in the ceiling there's hatches throughout the barn to drop down hay and feed, and then here's one of the feed troughs. Okay, this is your human access to this side. So this area you can walk inside of in order to feed the animals, or it was used to be able to access it without having to walk in the dirty area where the animals were. So you can kind of see how it was done back then, which was clever. At the end of this walkway, there was the ladder, which is your access to the top of the bank barn. The second story, and just lots of bird droppings and dirt, and there's just a lot of work to do. But preservation's worth it. You can see all of these hand-hewn beams that are just unreal and worth saving. Okay, so this is that ladder that accesses the top of the barn. So you could throw your hay down through your little trapdoors along the back of this walkway that extends the end of the barn, and then you could come in and use it to feed the animals. So, and there's just more of this stonework and this original stone foundation. Now over here it's in a little rough shape. That's mostly because upstairs the swale is no longer moving the water away from this building. It's all coming into this foundation. So we're going to fix the swale. We're going to add some spouting to the top of the barn, and then we are going to also repoint the stone and give it some beauty as well as some function to keep it lasting another 200 years. This area here, this was the original end of the barn. So this stone foundation originally would have been the end of the barn before they added the pig pen on. So this, we're guessing, probably also needs some work. We are going to keep it so that there is a separate bay on the other side of this. But this here was the end of the barn. Now you can see the floorboards above us are in pretty rough shape. So there's two bays of the barn upstairs that we are currently not utilizing. We won't walk in. I don't want anyone falling through. But we'll get over there and get those things fixed as well. Okay, let's head over to the pig pen. This is a door that fell down, so it has been laying there for I don't know how long he's been laying there either. We're gonna head over to the pig pen. This was added at some point, and you can see that a lot of construction looks a little bit newer. The stones are, it's just a little prettier over here. It was built in a different way than the rest of the barn. But there's your ladder access upstairs. There's a human walkway over there to care for the pigs. They would have been kept on this side, so you could go in without having to go through the mud. The ceiling is really moldy in here, so we're concerned over how to eliminate that mold, but also is it coming in from the moisture on the top that's come through that far end wall, or is it something coming from down here? But we will address that. You can see the old feed troughs for the pigs. And then there's that stair, the ladder access to upstairs through one of those little trap doors in the floor above. Okay, and then notice how they cut out the top of that door, which I have no idea why it was that way. When I go to the front of this barn, if you just pay attention, the area that was added on is down a little bit lower than the rest of the barn. So if you pay attention when we're looking at the front, there's a lot of old stones, old lumber, and things that just need cleaned up. The original stone wall out front. Okay, so look at that drop down. That's your addition. So we have no idea when that was added, but from there over, you can tell that was a later addition of the barn. And there's just outside here, there's tons of lumber that's been sitting out here forever, trash and metal and things. But this end of the barn was secured up by our family years ago to keep it from the weather coming in, which was such a great gift to us and saved so many parts of it. So, it's hard that they didn't use this barn, so for them to put the time and money into keeping it alive is why we're able to do this restoration now. You can see the back of the barn. It's just, again, it's like the rest of the barn, it's going to need a lot of work. The roof will have to be replaced, and you can kind of start to see the sags up in there of where that beam was sagging, and now the roof pitch is sagging, and I'll show you more of that inside. You can see how this bay kind of goes downhill and then up. That's all because of that back beam we talked about. But I'm going to show you the other side of the barn first and give you an idea of what the outside looks like. Okay, if you get down here and you look, you can see the original barn exterior here. It's not in good shape. it will definitely have to be replaced. But this is what it originally looked like. And then there's the little walkway over to the milk house. So just lots of work. I mean, there's just lots of work to be done and to preserve this. Okay, this is the silo. You can see some of the spouting hanging off. I'm sure there was a lot less problems with the water when the foundation, or when that spouting existed. So this is inside looking out at the same end of the barn that we were just looking in. You can see all the old extra hand-hewn beams upstairs. I think those are going to save the day as the story goes on. But just pay attention to the bracing at the top of this barn. And then these are the grain bins. See more grain bins over there towards the front. And this is where the water's coming in, this is where the weather's coming in. These doors haven't closed for years, so unfortunately it's just all the weather's coming in here and rotting this end of the barn. We'll have to fix that. So over to the grain bins. So I'm voicing this over afterwards, but this was the moment that I thought that was a snake down in the hay. It was not. It was a broom and a handle, an old cast iron handle. But anyway, at this moment, I thought it was a snake. So here's the inside of the grain bin. Once I get up here with a flashlight, I'll show you better. But that was built in 1924. And there's just lots of old treasures in this part. And then there's more grain bins. We believe those ones were probably added later. Because the boards are not as thick as the other, but we're not sure of that. So, take you over. There's lots of cleaning up to be done around here. There's a lot of work in just cleaning. So in this bay, you can still see where it kind of goes downhill and then uphill in each of these. And if you pay attention to that top bracing, there's just some sags that need to be addressed with that foundation. And again, there's some more rot over here. It's not as bad as the other side, but it's still, and this is that ladder access from below that I was telling you about. Now this side, those, the top bracing all looks pretty good. It's pretty straight, but on the opposite end of the barn is where it's got a sag to it. And there's obviously some sag here because this does, when you're walking on it, it feels like it goes downhill a bit before it goes back up. And then those are the two bays that we're just not walking in. And you can see the holes even from this video. So we need to kind of go over there in an easy way to remove the hay and then shore up that floor. Cleaning. Lots of cleaning to do. Okay, let's head over to the other bay. Again, we're not walking in this one. It's just not safe. This is the one that's over top of the pig pen. There was where that ladder access was. But this area is completely unsafe to be in at this point. Honestly, that bay right next to us too. I would not walk into that at this point. Okay, so this is the back towards the front. I just wanted to show you kind of the mess that we will have to clean up, which is all this lumber and metal and scrap and things. So thank you for watching. We are so glad that you are going to come on this journey with us as we fix up this 200-year-old barn and bring it to some former glory. So we can't wait to show you what we have in store for this barn and this beautiful farm. Thanks for watching.